Good morning. My name is Natasha. I'm a property manager and licensed real estate agent. Today I'm going to be just telling you my story as I get ready for the gym. I'm gonna do my hair. I'm gonna do my hair for the gym. That's how committed I am. All right. So I am 34 years old. We're gonna take a trip down memory lane. We're not really gonna focus on the first 20 years. Oh my gosh, 20 years. Just more focus on the last 10 years because that's when it got interesting. So I am half Indian, half redhead from Michigan, and that's where I was born, but I grew up in SoCal. Basically, I was homeschooled for a bit. I went to school. We traveled a lot. I lived in India for a bit when I was 4, I think. We ended up in California, and then when I was like 8 or 9, we moved to Maryland, and then we moved back to California. And then after that, I went to college at 14 and I graduated at 16 with my associate's degree and high school at the same time. So, not that that was healthy. I don't recommend that to the young girls out there. If you want to do it, go for it. I just was not like mentally healthy. Burnout was worshipped then, and I was a child. So then because I was like the firstborn, nobody had applied to colleges as a high school student. So we didn't know you need to do it like the year before. So I took a year off, studied Spanish. So I hablo español. And then I went to UCLA at 17, and then I double majored in, I was a nerd, Greek and Latin and Arabic. And because UCLA has like a time limit and a credit limit, so I did like 2 degrees in like 2 years. And I was done at 19. Still a nerd, no friends. I mean, I had friends. But, and then I became a Spanish teacher. And at that time, I was teaching Spanish. And I got my master's degree in linguistics and my TESOL certificate. So then after that, I got laid off as a teacher because the new principal didn't want to spend money on a Spanish program. You know, surprise, surprise. And then after I graduated, that was 2017. That's when life got interesting. I wasn't just like a child in school. Gosh, I mean, I did a lot of traveling. Before I started teaching Spanish, I went to Russia. I've been to Mexico where I built these small homes. Did some volunteer work. I don't like calling them missions trips because I didn't talk to anybody about that. Like, I love everybody's beliefs, but that's not for me anymore. Like missions trips. But that's what I was doing. And then I kind of came out. And then I was teaching English in LA, and the owner of that school had a school in Japan, and they were like, oh, we need a teacher over there. So I went to Japan. I taught English for business, and then the TESOL, like IELTS and TOEFL and all those exams. And then I wasn't a fan of Japan. Like, Japan's great, but I wasn't like, I want to live here forever. Moved back to LA, was teaching English again, and then I wanted to move to Bali in 2020 to teach English. And before that, I did a pit stop for like a month and a half in Nepal, where I was studying Mahayana Buddhism at the Kopan Monastery. Came back to the States, grabbed my stuff, went to Bali. That was 2020. So I was there when, like, I was teaching English in Indonesia, but I was teaching internationally. And so I had students in China when, like, the first mention of COVID, like, that's all they wanted to talk about. I was like, what are we talking about? And so I eventually got to Bali, and we had to quarantine and all that stuff. So I moved back to the States because also politically, again, this is not a religious or political page, but I just didn't know if I was going to be able to come back, what was going on. It was kind of scary, but whatever. I think I moved 11 times in 2020. And then I was teaching Latin, because, you know, nerd alert. I was teaching Latin in SoCal But I think I think I Robin Hooded myself out of a job, meaning I told all the kids that they should study Spanish and not Latin. And so they all listened to me, and then they didn't enroll in Latin in the next year, so there was no classes for me to teach, which is fine. I'd rather those kids actually speak a language in this country that would help us, like, to create more communication. So sabotaged my Latin career, totally fine. After that, I moved to LA and got a really nice apartment, and my first cat, Dobby, you'll meet him. He's an asshole, but we love him. And then that's kind of when I got all my cats, started rescuing cats. I only have 6, okay? Only have 6, okay? And I want more. I just live in a 2-bedroom townhouse, so I can't right this second. But yeah, so I started getting cats. And if you haven't heard, I didn't mention a single thing about money or finances or retirement or how much I made up until this point, because I was like a hippie teacher, Christian, Buddhist, confused, traumatized child until I was 31. And then that's when I got like my 6th cat, and I was like, oh shoot, they cost a lot of money. And like, money can do great things. Money can straight up save animals. And I was like, why didn't I think of this before? And so that was my journey into started reading, all the stereotypical like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Psychology of Money I've read this year. So last, 25 years, I've read so many books, listened to so many podcasts, YouTube videos, and I finally feel like I have a financial education that all my schooling, which is why I went through the story, you would think that I would know something about a high yield savings account or a Roth or a 401k or just investing in general, especially because my dad he's a financial advisor. Silly me. Anyways, I had a lot of caffeine, so sorry. I realized money's not bad. So then I joined a lot of pyramid schemes. I didn't know, right? And I lost money, whatever. But I did learn what I don't want to be. I learned who I want to be. And I realized I want to be a kind business person. And I want to be a philanthropist once I, have more than my property manager income. And so I was studying my California real estate license in California. It makes sense. But then something happened while I was studying house hacking, which I'm doing now as a on-site property manager. I get a rent benefit of my beautiful home. But it took me years to figure it out because I was like, well, I have not been preparing. I've been traveling the world, learning languages, so I can speak Spanish. Eric's really rusty. I can goodbye in Hindi, Japanese, Bahasa. And so like that's part of my journey right now is I want to get more fluent. And once I have my CIPS, I'm going to be selling real estate around the world. But that is like, I had to explain my background, right? So at that time when I was studying real estate, I didn't know stuff. I just knew you sell houses, you make money. I reached out to kind of a mentor, this lady. She's great. She went to my old church and we like talked because I was a kid when we went to that church and she was an adult. So obviously now we're both adults. And I was like, I always looked up to you and like, I wanted to be you and all this stuff. And so she kind of gave me some advice. But at that same time, the apartment complex that I was living at invoked the Ellis Act and they did it illegally because the Ellis Act, I'm not a lawyer, by the way, was like allowing owners of properties to take rental properties off the market and not renting them, so they're no longer rental properties, so they can do whatever they're gonna do, right? But it was right after COVID. It was like 2022, 2023. And of course, I was paying rent when I could, but like a lot of people, right? We just stopped paying rent. It's either because you got sick, people died, which my condolences to people, but like it was not a fun time for anybody. So a lot of people, really couldn't pay rent and other people, didn't. I couldn't sometimes, and when I could, I did. And I kind of wish I didn't pay, but I felt like I was doing the right thing, right? But at that time, I think so many people weren't paying that the like owner didn't want all these people not paying, obviously, and they thought that, oh, let's just kick them all out, illegal, and recoup our delinquency, right? Like start over. They said they were gonna redo the whole sprinkler system and all this stuff. So I was panicking because I also had a health scare at that time. I was in California at this time, and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So my sister was in Oregon, so I moved to Oregon. I didn't finish my California real estate license. Also because, don't come for me, people, I am Californian, okay? We don't have weather. One time I was on the bus and I looked at the windshield and there was this stuff. It was water on the windshield. And I was like, what is that? Is there construction going on? Like they're spraying the cement or something? No, it was rain. I hadn't seen rain in 2 years, okay? So to give you context before the rest of America comes from me as a Californian, I didn't know how to do weather. I didn't know weather affected the economy. So I was serving bartending and then it was slowing down and I was barely making ends meet. And so I quit that job. And like, that was not wise because it was the middle of winter in Oregon, Central Oregon. Nobody's hiring at that time because they don't even have hours for their current employees. So I learned that the hard way. But everything happens for a reason. And this story is like you can see now after like hindsight's 2020. I was studying languages. I traveled the world as a teacher. I moved to Oregon and I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I quit my job in winter. Right? So I think I worked as like a server that you can't get tips from because it was for like an Alzheimer's, older people's like assisted living. So you can't take money from people who forgot that they already gave you money. Like, so it'd be unethical. So I was just getting my hourly. I wasn't getting tips. I couldn't do that anymore. It was so depressing. As again, not political or me telling you what to do. Please take care of your elderly. I know that they sucked when they were healthy and they were rude and they didn't go to therapy because they're older. But don't put them in a home. It is so bad. I wasn't supposed to be like a care person, but obviously I'm a caring person. And this one dude, sorry, side tangents. Story time. Story within a story. He was forgetting how to eat. He was already in the assisted side. There was the unassisted side. So like people just forgot they shouldn't drive maybe, but like, actually no, I think they were driving. But the other side, like they forgot, like so this one couple, I would like take their order, go through everybody else's orders, and they would call me over and kind of be mad. Like, you didn't take our order. And then I would just pretend, oh, I'm so sorry. And then just pretend to write. So like, that's kind of the level of memory loss. But him, he was, it breaks my heart. He was forgetting how to eat. And so after I was doing all my other duties, I would like go there and like ask him like, hey, can I hold your hand? Can I put the spoon? Kind of hand feeding him. And it was just heartbreaking. He should have been, there's the third spot where it's like people like him where they forget how to swallow, forget how to, no crying. So I stopped that because I also couldn't afford my rent because of that. So then I, saw a sign at my gym saying that they were hiring. So I was on my hands and knees scrubbing gym equipment for $13 an hour in Central Oregon. You can't buy bread for $13 an hour, okay? So, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but like to get the picture, it was a rough time. And so, don't judge me for this next part, okay? There was a ad for, I'm burning it. Timeshare, crime share, if you will. And they paid for my Oregon real estate license and they had snacks. So everybody's like, it's a scam. I was like, no. I'm really good at crapping the crappers, right? That's my favorite Jack Black quote, which is probably really niche and yeah. But I'm really good at crapping the crappers. So I was like, oh, bet I get hourly wage, which I'm already doing. I won't be on my hands and knees. Won't have creepy men at the gym talking to me while I'm on my hands and knees scrubbing. Okay, it's not comfortable. I will have snacks, so I won't have to buy bread with my $13 an hour. And then What next? Oh yeah, they were gonna reimburse me for my real estate license, which costs like $1,000 here in Oregon. I don't know why. I don't know why. Everything's so expensive here. Like people think it's expensive in California. It is so expensive here. Anyways, so I got my license. I had 4 transactions, 2 of them rescinded, but I learned sales. Like the 10 step of the sales, got you. And I learned how to still be ethical in an unethical environment. So I'm pretty sure everybody knows like horror stories about timeshare. These were actual places, so I wasn't like just taking people's money and it not being there. That's horrible. But I was like, I guess it was like, they don't want you to know all the information, so that way you don't tell the customer all the information. And I slowly figured that out. I only did it for like March, April, May, June, like 3 months. So I got my license, I got my sales experience, and then after that I was like, I was getting harassed and stuff. So I even called out my boss like, hey, could you not do this? And he's like, hey, just remind me the next time I do that. Quit the next day. I refuse. I refuse to be disrespected. Also, I couldn't pay rent. I was supposed to get like a $5,000 commission and they rescinded. And I was like, you know what? Harassment and rescission, it's not my cup of tea. So I felt like, I don't know if you know this journey, like it feels like I quit a lot. And like now that I'm retelling the story, there are redirects and self-respect and like progress, right? Whew, it's hot. Hot mama. Redirects and like free real estate license, free snacks. I gained a lot of weight. Oh, I had health problems. I was so stressed during that time. And then I do struggle with mental health, but I'm getting better. So anybody that is struggling, it's like, I don't want to minimize it, but like, and I haven't shared what my mental health is, but there's a lot and I'm healthy now. Just like my body hurt and I went to the gym and it doesn't hurt anymore. So those of you that are watching, eventually this is my first video, do something. Message me, call your mom if you can, journal, meditate, something, start small. And if it doesn't work for you, find something else. I think that's kind of like what I've learned is not everything fits in a box, especially humans. And you're not quitting, you're just realizing this doesn't work and you're being smart and you're recalibrating and you pivot. I don't like that word because it's corporate, but whatever. You pivot. And so, sorry, I gotta blow my nose. Oh, this camera. Anyways. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Shoot. Basically, reach out for help, and it is curable. I'm pretty sure it's curable. They just want to put us on lithium and bullshit like that. So I took that to try to get healthy, but ended up like messed up, and I got fired because I couldn't see the numbers. I was serving. I couldn't see the numbers, and then I got another serving job. I twisted my ankle really bad. I got COVID. They bait and switched me at that job, so I quit. And then I became a real estate agent with Fathom Realty for like a second. But like during this time, it was like chaotic and I couldn't gain traction. And I became a manager of a Starbucks kiosk, which I love baristaing. And I met my really good friends here in Oregon. And a lot of stuff happened, so I'm gonna fast forward through that. That's unnecessary. It was the most horrible year of my life. And I didn't give up is the point. Maybe I'll share it in another video, but I didn't give up. And now I'm a property manager. I have this is just my bathroom. It's from Target, don't worry. But this is my bathroom and it's like part of my benefits. And oh, here's a cat. And I got my cats and I didn't have to give up my cats. Oh, the good boy. Who's this? Fluffy. I got 3 black cats. And so I'm a property manager and I'm working on my California real estate license. And I spoke to somebody and they're like, well, you have all these languages and you've traveled. So that's how I've career pivoted in my 30s. Oh, I forgot to mention part of the time when I was the Ellis Act and the health scare moving to Oregon. Excuse me. I lost my career because of, I'm not getting political here, but health choices during the pandemic, and I wasn't allowed to teach anymore, even though if I had like other medical issues. So if you're going through it, just use it, is what I've learned after telling this story. You know, so I'm here, and that's kind of my story in a nutshell. And I'm so excited. I might be listing a house this summer, my friend's grandpa's house. I'm not sure yet, but we're just out here trying. And I think we all need to give ourselves more credit. Let's put on some mascara because I cannot multitask. I'll have to learn how to do that. Am I even putting it on? Here we go. So yeah, just combine. Even if something doesn't work out, you've gained experience from it, right? So yeah, I'm no longer a teacher, but I know like how to talk to people in multiple languages. Yeah, I'm no longer any of the jobs that I had, but like I have sales and negotiation and closing and marketing experience and understanding and confidence, right? Like I'm not the scared 20-year-old that I once was. So to wrap this up, because I'm going to the gym, I'm not gonna do my face, but I am gonna put some eyeliner so you can watch me stab myself in the eyeball. Is that life is a journey, which is cliche. Just reflect on that journey and you might have something quite amazing. Have a great day. See you later.